Along with a wave of sanctions on Moscow, U.S. is deploying additional forces to Germany to bolster NATO. In the face of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Biden has also underscored anew that U.S. forces are not and will not be engaged in a conflict with Russia in Ukraine. With a vow to defend every inch of NATO territory, U.S. will send some 7,000 additional troops to Germany. The forces will rather be positioned in a defensive capacity to defend and reassure NATO allies. He said the United States would meet its Article 5 commitments, in which NATO members agree an armed attack against one of them in Europe or North America will be considered an attack against them all. Since Ukraine is not a NATO member, those protections do not apply.
And now I'm authorizing additional U.S. force capabilities to deploy to Germany as part of NATO's response, including some of the U.S.-based forces that the Department of Defense placed on standby weeks ago. Let me say it again. Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight in Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies and reassure those allies in the East.
President Biden called it a premeditated attack. He described Russian President Vladimir Putin as an aggressor who launched a war without a cause and a misguided dream of recreating the Soviet Union. Biden said there is now a complete rupture in U.S.-Russian relations if Moscow continues on the path it is on. Ruling out talks with Putin, Biden said that the Russian leader has grander ambitions than Ukraine.
He has much larger ambitions in Ukraine. He wants to, in fact, reestablish the former Soviet Union. That's what this is about. And I think that his ambitions are completely contrary to the place where the rest of the world has arrived. It's a large conflict already. The way we're going to ensure it's not going to aspire to a larger conflict is by providing all the forces needed in the Eastern European nations that are members of NATO. NATO is more united than it's ever been, and I have no plans to talk with Putin.
Biden said NATO would meet on Friday to map out further measures. Biden was asked if the stance was in sync with major defense partner India, to which Biden said U.S. is in consultation with India and the talks haven't been resolved completely. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke with India's foreign minister. Blinken urged a strong collective response to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The 15-member United Nations Security Council, of which India is a member, is likely to vote on Friday on a draft resolution. The resolution would condemn Russia for invading Ukraine and require Moscow to immediately and unconditionally withdraw. Russia is expected to veto the step, but Washington sees the vote as a chance to try and isolate Moscow. It's seeking at least 13 votes in favor and an abstention by Russia's partner China. India has developed close ties with Washington in recent years, but it has a long-standing close relationship with Moscow as well. India has so far avoided condemning Russian actions in Ukraine, although Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi did urge an end to violence in a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. WION correspondent Susan Teherani has sent us this report from New York. Watch.
U.S. President Joe Biden said on Thursday that the United States plans on having consultations with India regarding the crisis in Ukraine. Biden was asked whether India was fully on board with the United States in dealing with Russia, in which he answered, "We are going to have consultations with India. We haven't resolved that fully." Shortly after, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken contacted his Indian counterpart to discuss the situation in Ukraine. According to the State Department, Blinken, quote, stressed the importance of a strong collective response to condemn Russia's invasion and call for an immediate withdrawal and ceasefire. Meanwhile, also on Thursday, Indian Prime Minister Modi spoke with Russian President Putin about the situation in Ukraine. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.